Welcome to episode 2 of 4 of Open Mat here from UFC 242 in Abu Dhabi. I'm Adam Catterall, alongside me as always Nick Peet and the one and only Mr. Dan Hardy. It is media day today, loads of fighters on their stools, having microphones stuck in their faces, bar one. What do we read into that, Dan Hardy? Khabib came, he did the face-off and then got right off.
Yeah, it seems like he's got a big team of guys around him. I think they're rolling in sort of 5 Rolls Royces up to the media day. I feel like they're almost acting as a bit of a buffer zone to protect him from the stresses of the event. The main focus being his weight cut, obviously. I mean, that's why he didn't work out yesterday. He was quite open about that at the open workouts. Today, not wanting to hang around and answer questions for the media. You know, doesn't want to show that dry mouth and that, you know, the fact that he's struggling with the weight perhaps is something we've got to bear in mind. But I mean, it's his event. He can kind of call his shots here. He's the world champion. If he doesn't want to do it, he doesn't have to do it. And we also don't know what media he's doing outside of the the regular UFC stuff as well. So he might just be doing so much that he just didn't want to deal with this today.
There was a lot of media here. Obviously today it's packed, and there was a real groan when Dana made that announcement. You know, you really thought, oh, you could hear it on everybody's minds. You know, they've got to go back to their editors and go, you sent me all the way to Abu Dhabi, but I didn't even get a piece with Khabib, didn't even get a preview with Khabib. So that's disappointing. He is the main event, and I think as the main event, it's up to you to support the show, you know. So from that perspective, I'm disappointed. I don't know whether it's a weight cut thing. He looked pretty good on stage with Dustin. Maybe it is just the overcommitment thing, that he's just got so much on his plate at the moment. But it's also a bit of a trend we're seeing now. Nate Diaz did exactly the same thing just a couple of weeks ago, refused to do media day. And don't forget, this is the second day running. Khabib is not played by the UFC's, beat, if you like. He didn't do an open workout, he just did a Q&A with the fans. And today he's refused to do the media day. So it wouldn't surprise me if UFC contracts changed in the future and it was written in there, you've got to do open workouts, you've got to do media day. But anyway.
Listen, from our point of view here at BT Sport, we did do an interview with Khabib. You can watch that. It's available now on our YouTube channel, so make sure you go to it. If you're Dustin Poirier, right, you've sat there, you've done the media, he's played by the rules. He did a great workout yesterday as well. Mm-hmm. And you see your opponent there not doing X, Y, and Z, and the noises in the room are, well, is he on weight? What's the situation with the weight? What does that do to you psychologically, Dan, preparing for a fight if the other guy might not necessarily hit the scales?
I don't mind it too much, to be honest. If I'm the contender coming into this and the champion doesn't want to answer questions and doesn't want to work out, I'm getting confidence from that. Especially, with the mindset that you've got to be in for Dustin Poirier right now. You've got to find confidence in wherever you can get it. He's the B-side, he's the underdog, he's the contender. I know he's got a belt, but he's the interim champion. And there is an onus on the contender to do more media stuff. It's the same for everybody that's fighting for a world title. So I think more than anything, if Khabib's choosing not to put any more effort in than he has to, I would find confidence from that by, even if it's creating a story that he's struggling with his weight or whatever it is. Poirier is the kind of person that will find a benefit from that.
One guy that I was most certainly impressed with was Paul Felder today. I thought he spoke brilliantly. He looked good. You picked on him yesterday for not sweating. Are you happy with him now? Did he impress you?
I didn't get a chance to feel under his armpit, so I don't actually know whether he was sweating today. I made a valid point yesterday. Leave me alone. I made a valid point. He wasn't sweating. That is concerning. But I've got to be honest. He looked great today. He was talking great. He was interacting with everybody. Typical Paul Felder, big smile on his face. Yes, the next 24 hours are going to be a bit of a nightmare for him. We all know that. But he didn't look in any kind of distress today, which makes me feel quietly confident. He's going to be fine. He will get there. But him and Dustin Poirier, I thought both talked great today. Both look great. And hopefully they enter the octagon on Saturday night just as confident.
Open Mat Extra, by the way, is coming to you where Nick Peet feels sweaty fighters. That's a new show that we're going to be creating as a little bit of a spin-off at the end of the Abu Dhabi week whilst we're here. Edson Barboza as well spoke extremely well. Those two boys are really looking forward to getting it on. Just from a psychological point of view from Felder, the reason why I think he's got a little bit of extra fire in his belly is because he lost the first fight. It's in his mind, isn't it? It's been winning for a long period of time, and he wants to get that win back. Yeah,
it has. They're the kind of things that stick with you, especially, it was early in his UFC career. And let's be honest, Paul Felder, even now as an analyst, he's still very hard-headed as a fighter. Yeah. He likes to stand in the pocket and see if he can, take as many shots as he can give. I just feel like against Edson Barboza, as much as you want to play that game, you have to be smart. And if Paul Felder wants to make progress in his career right now, he needs to make better decisions in this fight going in. So the fact that he's been in there with Edson Barboza, he's felt those kicks, he's had that reinforced that there are ranges in this fight that he just doesn't want to play in. playing in kicking range is dangerous because even winning the fight, you're going to get beaten up. You're going to get bruised legs and a bruised body, and he needs to make smarter decisions going forward. And I feel like working as an analyst, I feel like the time that he spent sitting octagon side watching the fights, and assessing the fighters, researching, I feel like he's developed his fight IQ. He'll be less hard-headed. We also saw him take Charles Oliveira down and beat him by ground and pound, one of the best submission grapplers in the division.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a confidence that he might even be able to take this fight to the floor and use his ground and pound. A little back pocket card if he needs to pull it. But he's going to want to stand and trade punches as long as he's standing right on Edson Barbosa's front foot so he can't throw any kicks. I think it's probably a safe thing.
If that's his tactic, Dan, I think you're right. That probably is definitely the way to unlock Edson, is getting close to him. But I think we could get a fight of the year contender. I really do. I think Edson Barbosa has got the confidence from the first fight. He also knows that lose this, forget about being a contender in this lightweight division forevermore. So the pressure's on both these guys to perform. And I think it's just got all the hallmarks for me. They're both in incredible shape. It's got all the hallmarks to be something a bit special.
You picked out Jojo yesterday as a fight that we should all be paying attention to at the weekend. So I made a bit of beeline today just to chat, just to see where her mind's at. And the psychological effects of the last fight are, again, playing on her mind. And it's been quite important for her, I think, that quick turnaround from getting straight back into the octagon to hopefully right the wrong that she's obviously just suffered.
Yeah, you need that fire to move into the next training camp, and frustrations from a fight are so beneficial to to motivate you moving forward. You step back into the next training camp with that recent memory of not pulling the trigger, not really giving her best. And as fighters, sometimes we're going to lose, sometimes we accept that we're going to lose, but you always want to give a good account of yourself. And as an aggressive Thai boxer, she will look at that fight and be disappointed with herself. And that disappointment is fuel for the fire. I feel like she's in a good place now. She's got a good fighter in front of her that's going to challenge her in every range. And settled at Syndicate in Las Vegas, I think he's going to do wonders for her. They've got a real good team of female fighters there, including Roxanne Modafferi, who will surely help Jojo's ground game.
Absolutely.
I think she's in the right place right now to start giving the best performances of her career.
Nick's got a new fighter, a new favourite fighter, should I say.
Absolutely.
You've been catching up with Lerone Murphy earlier. A lot of people watching this might not know too much about Lerone. Obviously, this is his UFC debut. Getting on this card is tremendous in itself, but just tell us a little bit about the guy.
Well, it fascinated me. I'd heard his backstory before, but I never really had a chance to speak to him. And this is a guy who's 8-0 in UK MMA. He's only really fought on lesser shows, never really fought on Cage Warriors. Cage Warriors is kind of like the measuring stick, isn't it, Dan? You get a couple of wins on Cage Warriors, then suddenly you can expect the UFC to come knocking. He's circumnavigated Cage Warriors with his ability. He's caught the eye of Sean Shelby. He's got this opportunity at 3 weeks' notice. He's come over here. He's a shy guy, Jamaican roots, Manchester born and bred, but his backstory is unbelievable. Shot in the face twice, aged 21, and spat out the bullets. Yes, I said that. Spat the bullets out before he even got
no
to the
wonder he's so
hospital.
relaxed then, looking for a fight at the
Catch him in
weekend.
his teeth.
Well, exactly. Well, that's what he said. He said, well, I cheated death on that occasion. So every day since has been a blessing. But once again, this is why we love fight sports, especially this is why mixed martial arts and fight sports is the best thing on the planet, because it saved lives. It saved his life. He channeled all that aggression he had as a gangster in Manchester, whatever it may be, running with the wrong gangs. He had that near-death experience and thought, you know what, I'm not wasting my life. I'm getting into mixed martial arts. His uncle, by the way, Oliver Harrison, one of the greatest boxing coaches in UK
Legend.
MMA, God rest his soul. But he loves MMA. He's here to make a difference. He's got no pressure on his shoulders whatsoever. Team Khabib fancy getting a win here as part of their gang, and he's here to cause a big upset. And his dream is to take the UFC back to Manchester as well.
I know that's one that you're going to be looking out for, but obviously every open mat you pick as a fight that we've got to have a look for, not necessarily the main event or Felder and Barbosa. What else should we be having a look at the weekend?
Well, one of my favourite fighters on the whole UFC roster, Mirbek Taisimov, a very, very special fighter, a very dynamic, aggressive fighter, explosive, good at every range. I mean, we've really not seen him challenged in the UFC so far. The only thing he's struggled with really is consistency, and that's visa issues and travel issues. But he's on this card. He walked in looking like an absolute superstar today. He's got a great air about him. I just think there are big things ahead for that guy. I feel like he's a potential future champion. And he's got Diego Ferreira, who's going to test him, really test him. I mean, does Mirbek want to take him down and deal with his excellent ground game, or does Mirbek want to try and stand and use that nice clean striking where Diego's going to come crashing forward with wild strikes? They're very, very different fighters. They're both very, very talented, and they've both got the potential to, you know, to really start to pick up some speed in this division. It's a good fight for Mirbek, I would say, for him to really, really shine. But for Hayes, one of those kind of guys that you just can't count out. If you give him an opportunity to get into the fight, he's going to strangle your head off. You know, this is a fight to watch.
Strangle your head off.
Literally. You want to feel his squeeze, man. I'm telling you, he's got a serious black belt squeeze. And if he gets a hold of you, even if you're as strong as Mirbek, you'll be sleeping before you know it.
So there you go. That's Open Mat. And media day done. Tomorrow's a big day. It is weigh-ins. Will they all hit the scales? Will they all make weight? Will we have a championship fight? I don't want to tempt fate. Make sure you come and join us for episode 3 of Open Mat from the weigh-ins tomorrow. And don't forget, at the weekend, 7 p.m. is when we get underway on BT Sport Box Office. Come and join us for this must-see event. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, we've more exclusive UFC 242 content. If you haven't seen any of it yet, click here. And to buy the fight on BT Sport Box Office, click here.